Hi everyone, welcome back to Kat's Book Corner. We talk about all things book and bookish. I'm filming right as I'm editing the first part of my Iron Flame reading vlog and realized I didn't film a opener for the second part, so here we go. And then it'll get into my disclaimer about why I split it in two parts right after this, but I just thought I'd let you know here. So let's get into my thoughts about Iron Flame. Sorry about the angle. I'm just reading Iron Flame, and my reading check-ins have been getting like really long, so I think I'm gonna split it up into two parts. I'll put this at the beginning of each of the videos because I think it's easier if you just know it's two parts going in, because they're both gonna be long, but I think two parts is better than having like a really long video. But if you want the long videos, please let me know. I'd be happy not to edit them down. But let's get into the actual videos. Part 2? That's fun. And then it's so domestic. They just wake up sleeping next to each other and they're like, we could get used to this. Ugh, and it's so nice. And she's like, I don't know if I'll be able to sleep here. I'll probably have to sleep with the cadets. But he's like, this is my house. You're gonna sleep in my house. You'll be sleeping in my nice, comfortable bed in my house. I loved it. And they're like, why is the general's daughter here? And then Brendan's like, the general's son is right here. So we really need to figure out if that's the right question to be asked. And then they're like, we should lock her up. And then Brendan is like, go near my sister again and I'll cut out your other eye. Like, he cares about his sister so much. And the one scar that we saw earlier in the book on Xaden's chest is like the same ones that he has on his back for the marked ones. Except this one's for Violet. She's responsible for everything Violet does. And it's like, ugh. And Imogen tells him that, not Imogen, but he tells her that I did this 2 seconds after I put you in Brendan's arms after the battle, which shows that he cares about her a lot. And then he's like, what are we gonna do with all these people? They're like, Jane's like, they can be guests in my house. Like, if you've forgotten, this is my house. Like, he keeps bringing it up, and I love it for him. Because he's like, have you forgotten that we're meeting in my house, and I can kick you out? These are my guests. And then Andarna's finally up. And then she's going to see her, and her wing is all messed up. Like, that's something that just happened because they kind of messed up her dreamless sleep because they pushed her too hard, and they didn't get her to the Vale fast enough, which Violet of course blames herself for because she always blames herself. But and then she's like, can we fix her? And they're like, you can't mend if it doesn't exist because she's missing specific muscles in her wings. Ugh, and it's just so sad. Their hope is that she'll be able to fly, but she'll never be able to hold a rider, which is so sad. And then, because some teachers actually went with them, and they, like, start, like, actual, like, teaching again, and they're, like, she, like, greets them as, like, traitors, because she's, like, that's what everyone you know will call you now. And she's like, but I am still so proud of every single one of you who chose to come here, which is, it's so good. And then Mira is coming. Like, it's a riot, so they think, oh no, Mira's gonna fight us. But then Mira's here, and then so they get ready to fight. And then Taryn grabs Tenen's neck, like he did with Stolas earlier. And it's Mira's dragon, so she's like, don't kill him! Don't kill her! And she's like, I have his throat, but I haven't broken his scales. And it says, like, I was being the dramatic one. Like, come on, Taryn. And then she is willing, because her mom told her the truth. So she just deserted like everyone else. Well, not everyone else, but most people deserted. And then she sees Brendan and she punches him. Which, to be fair, it's a fair response. That your brother, who you thought was dead for 6 years, is up and alive. Like, yeah, I think punching is the right response. And she breaks his nose. And he's like, damn it, Mira, I think you broke it. It's so funny. It's like, I can't believe you hit me. Do you know how hard it is to mend myself? You, no problem. Me, myself, it's great pain in my butt. Ugh. And, like, they're fighting, and it's just, it feels, like, so family, even though she's not, like, forgiving him because obviously he lied to her, but, like, ugh. And then she, like, is finally being, like, because it seems like she was going back into her silent sister role, but then she was like, you know what, shut up. And Brendan, put the pack on your face. Like, she's, like, being so strong, and then Xaden comes over, and she just kisses him in front of him, and Brendan's like, seriously? Right in front of me? And Mira's like, oh, this is tame for them. Wait until they decide to basically climb each other in public places. It's just so funny. And they're trying to fix the wards. Apparently they need the blood of the 6 most powerful riders. Which, as far as, like, they name who they are, but the 3 that I know, like, off the top of my head before I even read those passages was Violet, Xaden, and Brendan. Like, those are both 3 powerful riders. So they gather everyone up, they gather everyone, and it says the most powerful riders are Xaden, Felix, Suri, Bodhi, Violet, and Brennan. And they try it, but it doesn't work. The wards don't work. So Violet is going to try and do something that Xaden doesn't want her to do, because he thinks it'll end up with her captive again, but... So she asks Taran, and he says, I'll consider it. And then Mira comes over at the end of the chapter and says, I need your help. So I'm curious about what Mira needs. But that's that, and I will come back with 40 to 45, but this is such a good book. I'm really loving it, but bye. Okay, we're at 40 to 45. I think I said in the one before that it was Mira asking for a favor, but no, Violet is asking Mira for a favor. So, Felix is teaching her how to wield her power. And then she's like, let's try aiming, because they never taught her how to aim. And they said, wonderful, you might be the most, might wield the most devastating signet on the continent, but you know nothing about it. Nothing about the energy fields that draw it. Instead of shooting your power like an arrow, precise and measured, you just have it around like a boiling oil, hoping you hit something. And she's like, lightning may come from your hands because it comes from everything else. And Carr never taught her how to control it, how to work with it, because it was all about, you know, power's sake, not teaching her how to control it. And then she's like, you wielded Xaden. That's why people are scared of you, not because of your full power. They're scared because you can control Xaden. And then she's trying, like, to defend herself. Like, I'm not a threat. And she's like, you are what you want to be. Doesn't change what you are without work. Like, you are a threat. Nothing can really change that. That just happens. So he gives her something, like, to help her control her powers. And she's like, I'm the menace everyone thinks Xaden is. He might be a weapon, but I'm a natural disaster. Which, it's kind of true. And then her, Mira, and Brendan are flying off to see, I forget his name, but like a Viscount. Like, they're gonna go see him. I'm calling him the Collector, like from Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's what he reminds me of. So if I say the Collector, that's what I mean. But, like, they're flying out to meet him, and Violet is, like, being in charge, and, like, yes, Mom. And Mira's like, too soon? And they're like, yeah, definitely too soon to talk about our mom. And they actually, like, sort of get along. And she tells him, don't tell Sigale, so that she'll tell Xaden. And then when they get there, she tells Taran, stop intimidating them. He's like, I can't help their inferiority. I'm just better, because I'm a dragon. I love Taran. He is, like, my favorite. And they all tell the truth to get in. Violet says, I'm here to wield lightning. Brendan says, I'm here from a contract. And Mira says, you try and hurt my sister and I'll gut you like a fish. So, that happens. And then the flyer is like, I can respect that. And then Xaden comes out, I was like, you aren't where I left you, Violence. Oh, it's so funny. And then Brendan is like, I can't believe you think you outrank me. And Xaden's like, I outrank you in every way but one. And then Brendan's like, that one thing matters. So they get into like a fight in their heads and outside their heads, and it's so funny. And Kat is the collector's niece. That sucks, because she's annoying and I don't like her. And then she says, you would never have, she like is yelling at Xaden, like, you never would have done this last year. You never would have like used this protective stuff last year. Like held her back and caged her in the name of protecting her. And then she's like, I wasn't in love with you then. I was just protecting you because I made a promise to your mom. Now I care about you, so I'm protecting you. And then he's like, she finds out, you're scared, aren't you? Of losing you? More like terrified. When Sigale told me Taryn was headed this direction, I literally lost my effing mind. Ugh. Like, he cares so much. And then she gives him the most crazy insult. He's like, you know what you sound like? You sound like Dane right now. Oh, it's an insult, because they both hate him. Well, Violet, he doesn't hate him as much as Xaden does, but... oh, it's such a good insult. I loved it. And then Kat is just insulting Violet so much that it's just... it was getting on my nerves. I didn't like it. And Mira's like, you know what? We don't need that luminary. I'm just going to kill them. Which, I love you for that, Mira. And then they were talking about one of Serena comes in and is like talking to Kat to calm her down. And she's like, and she thinks Mira would be his type. He likes women who might actually kill him. I liked that. And then she wants to kill Kat so bad because she's so jealous of her. And then Taryn's like, it would be a pity to kill her now. I'm hunting 10 minutes away and I'd hate to miss the show. He just is here for drama, and I love him for that. And then Serena finally tells Kat, if it wasn't for Violet, I'd be dead. She saved my life. And that kind of like shuts her up for a little bit, but... and then she comes out in like her dress and her hair's down, which Xaden loves it when her hair's down. He like loses control. He's like, you're playing dirty Violence. And then he kisses her. They sort of make up. Not fully, but they sort of make up. And then she figures out Kat was messing with her head because the Griffin Riders are good at like mind stuff. And Kat is like in her head and like making her emotions feel super heightened. So kind of awful still. And then they walk up to Terkis and is like, oh, I will not apologize. I can't maintain my control around Violet. And it makes Kat just so upset. And I love it. And then their goal, like, what they want Violet to do is to blast this chest that belonged to Xaden's father when he tried to make a deal with these people last time. And the Alliance had something to do with Kat. She turned off last year. He was like, nope, we're not doing that deal. And then, oops, there's a Venin inside this chest. So now she has to fight a Venin. That's not good. And Xaden can't help her because the deal's off if he tries to help her. And the Venin is like, it's you. I could get rewarded if I bring back the Lightning Wielder. What do they want with her? I'm so confused. And then they're trying to help Mira learn how to use her shield ability because she hasn't been able to do it past the wards. And it almost burnt her out when she tried it here. But I think she's getting better, which she needs to because it could protect them. And then she fights the Venin with Taryn. Taryn helps. He, like, gets there, like, close enough for them to time, like, perfectly her killing this Venin. Oh, it was so good. I loved that. And he lands. He was like, I will devour anyone who makes a move against you. My patience has ended. Like, I am done with this. And Zayden almost kills this guy because he like holds him up with his shadows. He's like, yeah, no, not happening. And then she's like, I'm all right. Put him down, Zayden. He can't answer questions if he's dead. And then she walks up to him. You're lucky you're not dead. If you put Zayden in that kind of danger, I'm not sure I would have been merciful. And they're like, you call this mercy? And they're like, yes. You're alive, aren't you? So, and like they start talking, making like deals. And like his deal for the Luminary is you take some of the Griffin Riders with you so they can learn how to work with you and cooperate, which, to be fair, isn't bad. It's just strange why he would want that right now. And Brendan agrees, which she does not like. There was, they're like, would you risk your dragons? And she's like, no, I wouldn't risk my dragons. And then she's talking to Taryn. And she's like, I wouldn't risk either of you. And Taryn's like, of course you wouldn't. Why would you? When I am quite capable of carrying you all over the world. You do not bond the inferiority that are griffins. You bonded dragons. Take them for a walk and let them prove themselves. Because they're making the griffins walk, like, and the Griffin Riders walk this, like, thin thing that they're calling, like, a makeshift parapet. So, like, it can prove themselves to the riders. And so the griffins don't have to go to super, super high altitude because they're not great at that. And then they find out that almost every Griffin Rider knows about Violet because she's Lilith's daughter and she would have been a hell of a ransom target. So they know almost everything about her, which is kind of scary. And then she finds out Liam knew Kat because they were fosters. They grew up together. And then she's shocked that Sloane knows. And she's like, don't be. Liam didn't hate many people, but Kat was on that list. Like, so she hates him too, and I kind of love that. And she tells Violet that she's reading the October letters now. So she doesn't really hate Violet as much anymore. It's kind of hard to hate her when her brother didn't, which I love. And apparently a bunch of dragons are hatching near where they are, which is, it's nice, but it also makes more things because it attracts magic, which is what the Venom want. So it's not always a great thing. And Dane is here and warning him about like this arrow thing that it's like a booby trap. And Sloane hates him like right now at least, because the memory thing, which got her brother killed. So I get why. And then they're like, okay, let's get across this like little cliff. And she's like, wait, I can use the same thing I use in the gauntlet, which is like sticking her knife and helping her get up. Because there's this one Griffin Rider who's a lot smaller, Luella. And then she's like, I'm wondering how attached Riddick is to that sword. And then they're like, oh, it's standard issue, you can take it. So she takes it and she sticks it in. And she jumps. And like she's like holding on, but she can't hold Luella much longer, and she just slips through her, which kills her. So it's not good. And then Riddick gets shot because he triggered the booby trap, and there are arrows in his chest, and she just screams for Brendan to be able to get here so he can heal him. Oh. And Kat gets all on off her for killing Luella. She didn't kill her. She didn't even drop her. She just couldn't hold on. And then Dane is like, take one step towards Violet and I'll throw you off this effing cliff myself. Unlike Ryerson, I don't give a shit who your uncle is. Like, yes, go off, Dane, even if I don't specifically trust or like you. And then Sloane is like, I'll just do it for fun. I love Sloane. She's great. And then Wyverns start attacking because they have sensed that there's magic here, so they can tell the Venom afterwards. And then she gets a plant. Violet gets a plant, so she jumps on Taryn's back and yells at some people to take Sloane. Like, take Sloane. I had to hold Liam while he died. His dragon was already eviscerated by the jaws of a wyvern. I do not want to watch his sister suffer the same fate. Get up the effing cliff. And Sawyer literally just lifts Sloane and like runs away, and it's like, ugh. She's so protective over her, and it's so sad. And then Dane's like, you know you're wounded, right? You can't do this. And he's like, you're a memory reader. Oh, I thought we weren't stating obvious facts. So she takes off, does her stuff, and he's like, would Ryerson let you take off wounded? She's like, yes, that's why I love him. And then she, like, takes him off, and, like, the wyverns are, like, energy, and she learned that she can, like, sort of, like, manipulate it, so her lightning would hit them, like, because it's drawn to that sort of energy, and so she had her hunch, and it was right, and I kind of love that. And then, as they're landing, she's like, you could have crushed someone. I could have, but alas, they have moved. Ugh, Taryn, such a drama queen, and I love it. I do appreciate that they had the little fight with Violet and Xaden, because it made a lot of sense why they would fight, because he's scared for her. He's so, like, protective. And, like, the Dane comment, like, really sat with him. He's like, you know what, I am. So he fixed it. He was like, you know what, I should have respected those sort of things that you have. So, and then he's like, am I forgiven? And, like, she is. And then they fight a little bit, but, like, otherwise, they're still fine, and they're still pretty good. I really do love it. That's why she made the comment to Dane later, like, yes, he would, because after they cleared that up, yes, he would have allowed her to do it. So, I really, really did like these chapters. And 45 to 50 is next. See you then. Okay, we're back with 45 to 50. We are almost done. 15 more chapters. So they're getting, like, death tolls about the people who are, like, going out. Like, Mira's out, so she's always worrying about her. And then she's like, it doesn't scare me when it comes to Xaden, because she'd know, because Taryn would tell her, because he would know that Sigil was gone. Or that Sigil was in mourning, at least. If it didn't happen to Sigil. So, she's not really worried about him, which is kind of sad. I mean, not that she's not worried about him, but, like, that she would just always just know that it would be him. And then Kat is being awful. She came to Violet and Xaden's room, like, in a robe that was, like, open and, like, it was sheer. And they're like, she's telling her friends about this, and, like, why would that be a problem? Think about where she sleeps. She sleeps in Xaden's room. And it's, ugh. I love her friendship with her friends. It's just so good. And then she's talking to Andarna and Taryn about, like, you know, her friends and Kat, and they're like, Civil's overrated. I've never tasted Griffin. And then Taryn's like, we do not eat our allies. Find another snack. He's like a dad right now, and I love him. He's great. And then Andarna, like, takes the fact that Kat's bothering Violet. And then Taryn's like, she'll get used to that, or she'll kill her. And then he's like, either is acceptable. And then she was like, I thought you were against killing allies. And then Taryn says, she hasn't proven herself an ally, you can kill her. Which, Taryn is just always fun. And then they're like, is Sawyer trying to ask Violet out? And they're like, he's like, and she's like, why would that be a problem if he tried to ask me out? Because Riddick's like, then I'd be stuck cleaning pieces of him off our shared floor when Ryerson rips him to shreds. And she's like, Xaden has more than enough confidence to survive me being asked out, which I'm not sure he does. I feel like he would panic. But alright. And then Sawyer wants to ask out Jesinia. Like, he has a crush on her. That's who he wants to ask out, because he wants to learn how to sign so he can talk to her. Ugh, it's just so cute. And they're learning how to do runes, and that was what Xaden was having her practice. Like, those, like, things she was, like, putting together with cloth, those were runes he was trying to teach her. And he's like, is this man ever going to learn to just tell me things outright, or is it always going to have to dig information out of you? It's just, he doesn't know how to just tell her anything, and it's kind of great. And they're just being, like, so domestic with each other. Like, just sitting in room. She's on the desk, like, studying. He's, like, looking over all of their stuff, getting dressed. It's, like, it's so domestic, and I love it. And then they talk about these runes that Sloane and Liam's mom made, which are protection things that sort of ignited when their parents were killed. And it sort of like curls into the rebellion. It's not the full rebellion mark, but it's like the curls that they have on their arm that leads up to the rebellion mark. So it's just, I love that. Like, their parents did that because they knew they were going to die and wanted to protect their children. It's so sad. And then they're forming, like, new squads with the Griffin Riders. Like, they're going to become, like, parts of their squad. And they're like, okay, we're going to spar first before we can combine. And, like, the sparring match ends when one of you is unconscious or taps out. And then Arik adds or dies. And all of the flyers, the Griffin Riders, are like, and they're like, think of it, it lasts a day in Basgath. Which is so true, because dying was, like, a scenario that could have happened any day. And then Kat wants to fight Violet, which, why? But then we learn that Xaden tutored her too, because they're both fighting like Xaden. So they're fighting and she's using her powers on her, like, to get her more angry and more insecure and more jealous. It's just, and she hears some guy in the back. It's Xaden, we find out later, but he's like, you're gonna have to do something about this. And she's like, she wouldn't want me to. Like, he's protecting her, but, like, letting her still fight her problems. And then she lets out this whole thing that Xaden's not capable of loving anyone. I'm like, yes, he is. He wouldn't have done what he has been doing if he wasn't capable of loving someone, because he loves Violet. And it turns out, and then he's like, I was after his crown, blah, 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 blah. Like, we were betrothed, blah, 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 blah. And then Violet's like, he isn't a crown. He's a person, and he's mine, and he's everything to me. And then because her powers are, Kat's powers are making it harder for her not to kill her because she's just so angry. And Xaden is in her head being like, honestly, I don't care if you kill her, Violence, but you'll kill her, and you'll care that you did. But I'll respect whatever choice you make. And she asks him for help because she can't get her out of her head, which, it's so cute that they're able to help each other like that. And then she asks him how many of the humiliating words did he hear, and he heard all of them, which, because it was a lot. She said a lot of hurtful things to Violet in those things. And then he sits her on the throne, on the, like, throne of his kingdom, basically. It's just, and he says, she loved me because of my title. You love me in spite of it. And it's many of the reasons why I will always choose you. And he says, my house, my chair, my woman. I love that. Oh, so good. This is the throne scene I think everyone was talking about, because I really love it. And then they just do it on the throne, which is, He's like, I don't particularly care if Kat lives or dies, but I know that you would. And I know you would have regretted killing her. Like, he cares about her so much. He's like, you're perfect to me, Violet. And it's just, He's so, like, gentle and sweet with her, and it's just, And then he's like, oh, I knew you weren't gonna be with, because they start talking about, like, their past relationships, even though they don't want to, because they have to finally have, like, honest conversations with each other. He's like, I knew it wasn't gonna be him, because at Thrashing it was, like, awkward and weird. Because I read the bonus chapter, it did look kind of awkward, so there's that. And he says this, sorry to inconvenience you, but this year the role of Violet Sorrengail, he points to me, will be played by Xaden Ryerson. He taps his chest, who will drag her kicking and screaming, if he has to, into a real relationship with real discussions, because he refuses to lose her again. If I have to involve you, you do too. He's like, we're gonna be together, we're gonna work together, and we're gonna have a real relationship, which is, it's so sweet. And then we realize that Kat's only able to force emotions on people that they're already feeling. Like, because Violet was already feeling anger at her. Not as much as she was before, already feeling jealousy at her, but not as much as she was able to push. And insecurity, not as much as she was already able to push. But Xaden doesn't understand the insecurity that she has, because he thinks she's just perfect. So she has to explain that a little bit to him. And he's like, she will never wear a Tirish crown. She will never have me on my knees in front of her. Oh. Like, oh, it's so good. And then Kat just being awful again because she's in their squad now, which isn't great. Ugh. And then she's like, being in the same squad doesn't change the fact that it's still my crown. And then Rihanna's like, let's feed her to Sigil. Which is great. I love that. And then like, we can't kill her. She's our squad mate. He's like, is that really the only ethical line we have? You sure? Say the word, we'll bury the body. We still have a couple hours before we're doing battle brief. Like, they care so much about Violet that they would kill their squad mate, which is basically illegal for them because they grew up at Bakstad, which is your squad's your family. You can't hurt them. But they were, like, willing to hurt Kat because she hurt Violet, and her powers are kind of scary, to be honest, to them. And then, let's see. And then Sawyer and Jesinia talk a little bit. Well, sign a little bit. And it's so cute. Then Dane, because she's talking to Dane again. She doesn't fully trust him again, because how could you after he resulted in the death of Liam? But they're trying, at least, to be friends or civil to each other. And he's like, do you love Ryerson? And she's like, yeah, I do. Then he's like, then I'll trust him. Because if you love him, I'll trust him. Which, I will say, I like that little bit of growth from Dane. But we're on chapter 50, and I'll come back at 55. Oh, it's getting good. I love it. Okay, now on to 50 through 55. Okay. So this one is from like one of the little addendums at the beginning is mastery of one's signet does not occur at Bakshad, nor in the years directly after. No rider alive truly believes they've reached the limitations of their power. The dead ones may feel differently. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think they're just not teaching them how to fully control their abilities so that they can use them more as weapons. Because that's what they were doing with Violet. So. And then she's teaching Violet how to use her powers. And it's like, Violet's scared of herself, not her power, which is why she's scared to try this. And Taryn's like, you shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be scared of yourself. Which I think she needed to hear because she's becoming more accustomed of learning how to use it the right way. And apparently the Venin are coming close to where they are. Which is kind of scary that they're just suddenly getting closer and closer and closer. So she's talking to Xaden, who lost people on the battlefield today. She brings him up chocolate cake, and they sit on the roof, and they talk, even though it's about, like, you know, bad things. They're just still talking, and it's nice. And they figure out that Sigil blocked Xaden at the moment, and Taryn blocked Violet at the moment because they're fighting. Because Sigil wasn't telling him about the battle she was in. And Xaden's a little upset because Mira, Violet's sister, isn't willing to risk him. Like, she told him to retreat when he wouldn't have before. And it saved his life, to be honest. But he doesn't normally like to retreat. But Mira's doing it because it's her sister's life in danger because of him. And he hates feeling like that type of uselessness that he's feeling because of it. And he finally kind of understands how Violet feels when she had to, you know, couldn't do what she wanted to do because her life was tied to Xaden. She's like, yeah, we're tethered for the rest of our lives. And it's like, oh, that was cute. I liked that. And then suddenly, she figured out how to raise the wards. It isn't about the most powerful people, it's about the most powerful dragons. That's who they need to be able to raise them. And she's actually talking to the Griffin Riders and her squad about whether she should tell the assembly if they should raise the wards, because in doing so, because the Griffin Riders are here now, it would block their ability to channel. Like, they can't use their powers if the wards are up. So she decides to, like, tell those people to see if, like, what they'd like to do. Give them a choice before she tells Xaden. Because she says she won't lie to him, but she wants to give them a choice at least. She has having another dream about the Venin, and they think that, like, her power will grow. Like, in the dream, of course, it says the Venin think her powers will grow, because they want to get her before that happens. And she'll tear down the wards herself because of what's going to come, which I'm so scared for what they're saying could come, and it's kind of scary. And then as she's waking up from this dream, Taryn says in her head, after she asks if she sees her dreams, like, I have better things to do than monitoring the amalgamations of your subconscious mind. If a dream bothers you, then leave it. Stop allowing yourself to be tortured like a hatchling and wake yourself up like an adult. Which, to be fair, she needed to hear that, but it's a little harsh, Taryn. Come on. But she deals with it. Then Xaden's back, and she's talking to him. She's about to tell him that about the wards, and then Garrett comes in. She's like, oh, tell him about that Venin you took down. And Rad's like, wait, what? He did what? And then Garrett and Xaden's like looking at him like, come on, dude. And he's like, just doing my part to help your communication skills thrive in a stable relationship. To be fair, they do need someone like Garrett so that their relationship can become more stable, but Xaden did not want that to be outed right now. And Xaden figures out with just a look that she figured out a way to raise the wards. Of course, she won't tell him how until she gets back, because they're doing, like, a challenge for a class. And he's like, I could just get all the dragons together now, can't I? She's like, you can't. And he's like, why not? Because you need Taryn, and I'm taking him with me. I'm going on the flight. So there's that. Then there's this one thing at the top. Imbuing, the art of imbuing comes naturally only to a handful of signets and automatically to one. A siphon. So I thought we're going to learn about a siphon in this chapter, because we do, obviously, but still. And she's with Kat, Sloane, and Darna, and Kira, which is Kat's griffin. And they're in this cave looking for this thing to open. There's also Var. I think Var is with her. This other dragon rider. And Darna's like, arrogance. This flyer does not have the skills to bark up a word like confidence. She's like, Kat is more arrogant than confident. Which I agree with. And then Darna is like, your fear is keeping you prisoner. What do you do? And then Violet's like, fear isn't always logical. Like, sometimes fear just happens. So, I really liked that little line that she gave Darna. And then right as they're about to get what they need for this challenge, an orange dragon bursts in. And, Stolas found them. Varish's dragon, he found them. And he's attacking them. It's not good. And Taryn is like, Silver One, I need to come and get you. So he does, obviously, but... So they fight, and Darna protects them because she's fireproof and is able to handle that. And then we find out that Sloane is a siphon. That's her signet. Her signet just manifested, and she's a siphon. It's very cool. I am excited to learn more about that. And she saves Kat's life, which Xaden is like, you did what? Why? And she's like, are you mad at me? I saved your life because I saved Kat. Because they would have came after you if we killed the third line to the throne. I just saved your life. But he's like, you're alive. But like, he starts the fight as soon as he's like, okay, you're okay. But then he starts the fight. And he's like, if she dies, then I'll take the consequences. If they can't channel, I'll take those consequences too. But not you. Never you, gods, Violet. I'm doing everything in my power to both respect your freedom and keep you safe. And I don't even know what you're doing. Like, he loves her so much. He just doesn't really know how to express it fully and allow her to have her full freedom that she wants. He's just so scared of losing her. And it's just, ugh. And then she brings up her mother's deal, which might cause a even bigger argument. So I am excited for that. But That was chapter 54, and then 55 to 60. I'm excited because it's almost done. Okay, bye. Okay, so I'm back for 55 to 60. And these are really good. I really liked them. Okay, first one was the quote at the top from the Journal of Warwick, which Violet and Dane translated. It says, "Nothing kills powerfully unshakable love faster than opposing ideologies," which kind of made me a little nervous, but I don't think I should have been. Because Xaden and Violet are fighting at the moment because she finally told him that she knew about his mom, which he knew that she knew. And he's like, "Simple, this seems pretty simple. Brendan's alive, he made a deal with my mother for my life. She put the scars on the back. Tell me, Xaden, is it the only secret about my family you want me to dig out of you? You holding anything on Mira?" Which, fair point. He did hide Brendan and the secret that he had with her mom, so it's a fair point. But then there's this where he just knows her. He's like, "Your mother called her favor, I gave it. Do you want me to apologize for making a deal before I knew you, before I loved you? A deal that kept us alive? I'm sorry, but I won't." Like, he loves her, and it's so cute. And then she starts like explaining the analogy that she had with Imogen earlier in the book, where there's an axe in the armoire. And he's like, "I can work with that." So he like uses an example. He opens the armor. He's like, "There's stuff in here, our stuff you don't snoop through because you trust me." And he like puts a dagger at her throat, and he's like, "Do you trust me not to kill you?" And she's like, "Duh, I trust you so much." She's like, "I'm not gonna hurt you, and you're not gonna hurt me." Like, they know that. And then he goes, "Hey, Violence," and she's like, "What?" "There's a knife in the armor." I liked that. That was fun. And then this is so heartbreaking, but she didn't ask the questions because she says, "Because I loved you." And then where's the rest of the quote? "Because I want to think you kept me alive those first few months before threshing, because you were intrigued or impressed by me or attracted to me like I was to you, and not because you made a deal with my mother. It's horrifying to think the only reason you fell in love with me is because of her. Because maybe you're right. Maybe I didn't want that partial truth. Because there's a thin line between devotion and obsession, between cowardice and self-preservation, and I'm walking it when it comes to you. And I love you so much. I ignore every warning signal last year, and half the time I don't even know which side of the line I'm standing on, because I'm too busy looking at you to watch my own feet." He's like, "Because you don't want to watch where your feet are," which is so true. He doesn't. She doesn't. So then they like fight a little bit, and then she asks, because he asks, "Ask me a question, I'll answer." And she asks what his second signet is, because Sigale bonded with his grandfather, which means he should have one. And he just goes pale. He's like, "Nope." And then they're attacked, so they have to run. And then this is another quote from the journal Warwick has. "It's never been our continent. From the very beginning it was theirs. We were simply allowed to live here." I'm assuming it's referring to the dragons, because that's true. And Andharna is being questioned by the elders. They found her act of killing Stolas justifiable, but she's a little bit sad because of the burden of killing like a fellow dragon. But Taryn and both Violet are both proud of her, so I liked that they're taking time to address that fact. And then Xaden asks when they're alone again, he's like, "How quickly do you think it would take to someone to fall out of love?" Because he thinks that she'll not love him anymore when he tells her about his second signet. And it's so sad. And then she lets it known that he is an Incendric. He can read partial thoughts. And no one besides Violet and Sigale, well, and Taryn knows, and So Gale didn't tell Taryn, so they're fighting. So there's that. That's not good. He can read intentions, is what his signet is. And it's because then he says less than a minute, because he looks in her face, he's like, she doesn't love me anymore. And it's so sad because she loves him anyway. Like, it literally says, in defense of that simple yet agonizing truth, that I still love him anyway. Of course, she doesn't let him know that yet, but she does. Yes, Gale didn't tell Taryn, and she's like, I'm sorry, she didn't tell you. And Taryn's like, we will settle matters of emotion after life. He's like, we will survive today, and then I will talk to my mate. Of course, he's still mad at her, which isn't good. And then, like, because they think they're probably gonna die in this battle because they haven't been able to get the wards successfully up, he's like, even if you believe nothing else, please believe that I love you. Which, don't break my heart, Xaden. And then she loves him so much, but she's trying to reason with herself. Just because I can't imagine walking away doesn't mean I won't do it. If we can't find some healthy ground, I'm quickly learning it's possible to love someone and not want to be with them at the same time. It's just, it's awful. And then as they get the wards up, actually, the wards are actually working, they get a message from Malgarion, who's the in-charge guy. He wants to meet with a couple people, no more than 2 marked ones, obviously, so we can see it. And he wants Violet and Mira to be there. So they go. And apparently there's something wrong with the wards, because the Griffin wielders can still wield their abilities, which isn't good. And then there's this thing at the beginning of this chapter where it's like, this time I'm not the last, no, I'm the first. Maybe it makes me completely and utter foolish, but somehow that makes a difference. Like, she loves that he told her first, even though she hates that he didn't tell her. Which is complicated, but I do love that she's still looking up at that part. And then he literally says, if you want to tell them what I am, I won't stop you. And then she's like, I wanted to discuss this last night, but you were discussing how to save my home. And she's like, are you complaining about you choosing the safety of my home over fighting with me? No, but... And then at one point, he said he stopped using his abilities when he realized that he was basically doing what Dain did. So he stopped, and because he thought he was no better than him. Except he never brokered the information. That's what makes her think you're better than Dain. Of course, not to him, obviously. She's like, he's better than Dain because he didn't sell and tell the information to other people. He just kept it for himself. Which, of course, is still awful that he knew her intentions, but she still forgives him. And she also is, coming to terms that she forgives Dain, but she can't also forgive him entirely because it caused Liam's death. And apparently Melgrim, because his signet, is able to see coming conflict and the outcomes of it. The Venom win on the solstice, and all of these people are just dead. So I'm kind of scared that might be true. And someone tries to throw a knife at them, but Xaden throws it away with the shadows going, no, I hate who's the spirit of civility when you were getting along so nicely. They call him a traitor, which is yeah, you shouldn't have let me live, but you did, so. And then they're like, we're rejecting your offer for us to help you because you never came to the aid of people who needed you, so why should we come to yours? And then Brennan shows up, and their mom sees him, and she is just broken because her son is alive. Of course, He doesn't see it that way because he hates her. But like, but like seeing him was just. Of course, Violet still cares about her mom, but Mira and Brendan are like, why? She basically sacrificed us. What are we gonna do? And then she asks for a word. And apparently the wards are failing in their kingdom because Warwick, the journal they've been using to get the wards right, lied to everyone, made sure that the wards in there would be unstable because he thought that only they should have the wards. But Lyra, the other journal they intended to steal but then got taken, so Violet didn't have it. Lyra, she's the one who actually wanted everyone to be able to shield themselves. So she gives them Lyra's journal, actually. So we gotta try, and it's in one of the languages Violet can't read, which kind of sucks. And then Xaden and Violet are like fighting a little bit. He's like, I'm still mad about your latest reveal. What exactly are we fighting about? The Assembly voting to leave Navir to fend for itself, or the secret you're keeping from me again? So they're still fighting, but then they like go into a little sparring, and she's like, I'm not gonna fight you. And he's like, oh, you think you can hurt me? Which causes them to fight a little bit. And then he says, you're capable of hurting me in many ways I'm not sure you've even begun to fathom, Violet. I may be skilled enough to land a death blow, but you alone have the power to effing destroy me. Ugh. I love that. And then they agree. No more secrets. This is actually true. She's like, you tell me everything or we are done. And I mean it this time. Even if I still love you, we can't be together if the secrets keep trying to tear us apart, which he agrees to. Because it's all or nothing. And then he says, even if it's classified, I won't withhold any information that affects your agency. I need you to know that you won't run, that you know you'll never have to. I mean, that's a double-sided coin because he says her agency, meaning if it's another matter entirely, he might keep it to himself, which it's Xaden, so I can't really expect him not to. But he's got abandonment issues, and I never really realized how prominent they would have been, but they are really bad. And then they talk about his mom, actually. And she left when he was 10 because that was all their marriage contract said, that she had to stay until he was 10. Which kind of sucks that she just left like that. This doesn't seem like a great mom. And then he's like, do you want your presents now? And she's like, presents? He's like, you lost 2 dags fighting Stolas, so I made you new ones. Now all you gotta do is get them off me. Like they did first. I really liked that. So apparently they've learned that Melgrim was using a bluffing tactic on them to make them think that they would fail because they didn't think that they knew how wards worked. So like they're like, the wards are working perfectly fine, but we're gonna die here, so they're gonna fail. Which they wouldn't. But then Violet realizes something. They're gonna head the Venin are gonna try and get to the Vale where the dragons and the hatch grounds are. So then Violet and all her friends just get up to meet Xaden. And then Kat is like, is anyone gonna tell us why we just walked out of Battle Brief? And then Violet has that look in her eyes. Rihanna says, it's the same one she had before the Squad of Blood last year, Sawyer says. She's on to something, and from our experience, you just roll with it. Which is so true because Violet has most of the answers most of the time. And then they're like, we have to get back to Bastak. And then Xaden's like, do you want to go? And she's like, I don't know, do I? Those people lied to us. Those people probably would have killed us for anything. I was tortured there. Like, she's like, what, do I really want to go? And she's like, yes, to protect these people, I have to go. Even if it means risking death, we have to. And then there's the We Do Not Eat Our Allies, Terran's personal addendum to the Book of Brennan, as quoted by Cadet Violet Sorrengail. I liked that one. That one was fun. Zayden's like, Violet, you're with me. And then, with all due respect, Rihanna straightens her posture. Unlike War Games, 2nd Squad Flame Section 4th Wing will remain intact, though you're welcome to join us. She's like, our squad will stay together during this. And then, of course, he joins, because he's not going to leave her alone. And apparently, dragons are able to, like, to cover more distances the longer they've been together. So she, because there's these 2 dragons, one's at Samira, one's at Bastad, and they're, like, communicating. He's like, when will you and Sigil be able to do that to Terran? He's like, a pretty long time. They've been mated for decades. We haven't been mated that long. And then she's talking with her mom again to be like, take us to the wards, or Dane will, because Dane knows where they are. And she's like, Black really does suit you, Violet, which seems to be like the nicest thing your mother's ever said to her. But really? That's the nicest thing your mom's ever said to you? And then as they're walking down, it starts to smell like the interrogation room, and Violet is not okay. She holds Zayden's hand, and she's like, I promise we will set fire to that room before we leave. Like, ugh, I like that. And then they get to the archives, and it's people are dead in there, so they're checking out. Oh, guess what? It's Bade and Jack Barlow. They're in there, and he says he's doing what he promised. So someone made a deal to him, and he's doing it. And then he kills his dragon, and you think he would die, but it doesn't seem like he's dying, and the wards fall. What's gonna end up in these last 5 chapters? I don't know, but I'll come back with my final thoughts, I guess. I finished it. This is 6 chapters because it was 66 chapters, and one of them was in Zayden's POV, so we'll get there when we get there, but let's start. This one is a quote from the top. It says, magic at its core, magic demands balance. Wherever you take it will be reoccupied. It's not the wielder who demands the price, which is... And then we find out that Jax turned Venin. That's how he survived the fall, because he was a Venin, and that's why he can kill his dragon and survive. He's a Venin. Stupid. I wish he was dead. And then he does this to Zayden and Violet sitting next to each other. I'll never know why it's you he wants. What the F makes you so special? Because we know at this point that the Venin won Violet. What we don't know, which we find out later in the book, is that they also want Zayden too. So, there's that. It's so good. And then when they're at like their last battle brief with her mom and everyone, he's just Zayden's back against the wall, and he winks at Violet, and she's like, what are we? We're not in a normal brief. This is like the end of the world, Zayden, and you're winking at me? I loved it. And then Mira and Violet keep interrupting their mother because they have better strategy than her. Well, not that she wants to admit it. And she's like, why is it only my daughters are speaking out of turn? I'm like, we get it from our mother, obviously, which they do. But, and she's telling Zayden, I'd give anything not to have to be here. She's like, we don't have to. Say the word and we'll fly. We'll get out of here. Like, he's so willing to risk everything just for her, and And then Brennan comes and he says, I left you and Mira to fight this on your own before. I'll never again do that. So he's here to help. And he's about to try and fix the ward stone with his mending. So they're going to protect the ward stone from the air. So they say their I love yous. Do me a favor and don't die. And he says, ugh. The world does not exist for me beyond you. It's just perfect. I so love them. And I love, like, there's wyverns and venom all around. And then he sees Sigale get one. He's like, Sigale has claimed that one. We have to go find another one. We can't take that one from her. He's so protective of her, but he still lets her do what she wants to do. They have such a great bond, mating bond, even if they lie to each other, consistently. It's like Zayden and Violet. Because they lie to each other consistently about not telling about the second signet that Zayden had, or they lie to each other consistently, and they still love each other, though. It's so much like Zayden and Violet. And then as she's beginning to think strategy, her dragon is Taryn is you're beginning to think, and she's Violet's Brendan, and then Sigale's like Taryn, that. She's starting to think like Taryn, which is amazing. And as they're being attacked, one of the Venom jumps on Taryn, and Rihanna then jumps on top, leaving her dragon, which actually kind of scared me because I thought we were going to have the same thing as Liam, and I don't think I could have dealt with it. Of course, I wasn't as attached to Rihanna as I was to Liam, but I still love her. So, and then Violet has that same thought too. She's like, I'm not losing her. I'm not losing another friend. Oh, so good. And then they're running to find Sawyer because his dragon and he are being attacked. And he loses his leg to a wyvern. It bites his leg off. And then she does a running landing that I never said that she'd be able to do, but she does it on top of one Sawyer's dragon. And she's able to protect him. And then through the bond is, Taryn is I am going to throttle you when you get on the ground. You should not have left your saddle. Zayden is what are you doing? And then as she gets back on Taryn, she's like, and you hoped I would catch you? And she's like, as if you wouldn't let me fall. And then as they're fighting, she gets to the ground with Sawyer, and just then, he hears Sigale, and he's like, Sigale! And he goes up to, Violet is go! Because if Sigale's in danger, Zayden's in danger. So he tells Taryn to go, and she'll help Sawyer get to a healer, because you can't mend a limb that's no longer there. They are under, all the Venom are under orders not to kill Violet, which is so interesting. I know they want to turn her, but, what could that use be? Is it just because she is power, basically? And Andarna kills this Venom, but it's her scales are changing. It's she can change her scales, which is so cool. And she's actually switching colors, and it's so strange. Oh, it's just, and she can breathe fire now. It's so good. Then we find out why the wards are wrong in what's it place? I forget what it's called, and how to fix them here. They need 7, not 6. And then we're so confused because there's only 6 types of dragons: black, blue, green, orange, brown, and red. Unless there's not. That's when Violet has her idea. And then as she's telling the generals that she can fix the wards, her mother is could isn't good enough. You can't fix it if you couldn't fix it in Arena. But she's I can do it. And then her mom is finally trusting her, being wait. And then Malgrim is I'm sorry, General. She's this is my school, and I said wait. And he's this is my army, and there is no waiting. And then Zayden is technically it's half your army. The other half is mine, and seeing as that you have no problem watching my father executed, I have no problem leaving you to die if you refuse to help. Which, go Zayden. Then we find out that the Venom wants Zayden as well. And then there was this one, which is love. I loved this one. You're going to love Violet. She's smart and stubborn, reminds me a lot of you actually. You just have to remember when you meet her. She is not her mother. Recovered correspondence from Cadet Leah Mari to Sloane Mari. Like, that's the letter that he sent to Sloane about Violet. It almost made me cry. Ugh. And she tells Xaden, I can only fix the wards here or the ones back home. I'm gonna let you choose because I don't want to take that choice away from you. But he's like, ward where you are, because you are my home. Like, oh, I love him so much. And then they say, I love you again, but it sounds like it's a goodbye, I love you, which they both wouldn't be able to survive. I know that, even if it's... And then we find out that Andarna actually can change her scale colors, but she's just been using a black one because she admires Terran so much and she wants to be just like him. Ugh. And then she's about to sacrifice her life to power the ward. So she tells her dragons, you both have to live. Promise me you'll choose to live. And it's... ugh. And then as she's like sacrificing herself, it's just like how Terran's last rider did it. He was like, you shouldn't have to, she says to him, you shouldn't have to lose 2 riders this way. She says she's sorry. And then Terran says, you must save yourself. I choose you not as my next, but as my last. And should you fall, then I will follow. Like, oh. And then she's almost killing herself. And then her mom knocks her out and brings Sloane to her and like, pushes her, being like, I killed your mother. I basically killed your brother, getting her to try and siphon her so she can put her power into the stone. Because she can't directly put it in, so she's asking Sloane to do it for her. Well, not asking, she's forcing Sloane to do it for her. And Brendan and Mira and Violet try and stop her, but they can't, and it's, ugh. Then she feels in the bond that Xaden's dying, which isn't good. And then the mom says she is so proud of all of her kids and she wants them to live so well. And then she says she'll see their father on the other side, like her love. And it's, ugh. And then her mom dies. I liked this one too. Most generals dream of dying in service to their kingdom, but you know me better than that, my love. When I fall, it will be for the one reason only. To protect our children. Recovered unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengail. Ugh. Like, she loves her children, even if she chose the wrong side of everything. But she would protect them no matter what. It's so good. Then she tells Xaden that she lost her mom. And Xaden is, like, behind Sgaeyl. He's kind of hiding, basically. And she's like... He says he's sorry that she lost her mom. It's like, why would you be sorry? You killed your father. I didn't want her dead. I could never want anyone you love dead. And then he says, you should be scared of me because he has a red ring from his eyes, meaning he is slightly turning Venin, which I'm not happy about, as you can see. Then there's this one that made me even more sad. At the top of the chapter, this is Xaden's point of view, the last chapter. We have tried every method we know of as you requested. There is no cure, there was only control. Missive from Lieutenant Colonel Nolan Casbury to General Lilith Sorrengail. And then we find out that the Venin told him in his nightmares that he would turn for love. And he knows more about him than he thinks. Which I'm not okay with. And then he's about to do it because he feels that Violet's going to sacrifice herself and he can't let that happen. And Sgaeyl yells, you cannot. I chose you. But he's like, Violet chose me too, so he reaches down and gets that magic. And then he's about to, like, go talk to Jack Barlow, who's being locked up. And he tells Violet, while she's sleeping, that he loves her. Because he's going to be the biggest cause of her suffering, and he hates that he is. Then he goes to see Jack Barlow. And they say, you can't stop this. It's only hunger for more. All the time you've been convincing everyone you're the hero, and now you're the villain, especially in her story. Welcome to our effed up family. Guess we're brothers now. Like, I don't want that to be true. I don't know what to do. I have Onyx Storm left, and then I have like 2 years before the next one comes out. But I loved it. It was 5 stars. I don't know why people didn't like it as much, but this was 5 stars. So if you liked this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.